3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Welcome to the Rideshare Zone, where every ride matters. And now, here is your host, Sean, the Colorado Rideshare Guy.
Welcome in, everyone. What's going on? Episode 14. Here we go. Hope everybody's had a wonderful week. All's going well. Everybody in Colorado, hope you're staying warm and safe. And yeah, let's do this. Let's get into it. First off, we got in the chat, we got Twin Pines Studio. We got Bubba Sue. How you doing? And we got Awesome Amy. How's it going? All right, guys. Well, as we always get going here, we're going to kick it off with a little bit of Waymo. Of course, that's what we got to do here. So, our first one, this little picture right here kind of says it all. You got this poor Asian guy that's running away and got his Waymo running away from him. And what happened here was that at a Bay Area resident by the name of D-Gen, he used Waymo for the first time going to the airport. Probably a bad idea to go and try that. Well, when things went bad ideas can go from bad to worse, and they got worse. So Jin takes his ride to the airport, all goes well. He goes get out of the car to retrieve his luggage, goes to the back to pop the trunk, and well, guess what? Waymo wasn't giving him his luggage. Damn thing just drove off away from him. So he just ended up immediately contacted Waymo, and they said, the customer service rep said, well, sorry, we can't go back, and the Waymo's already on its way back to its docking station, or whatever the hell, the depot, I think is what they called it, and said, sorry, can't turn around, even though you're at the airport. So poor guy had to board the plane without his luggage, and I guess some of his meeting notes with it too. And then somewhere along the way, he goes and emails Waymo. Okay, so he didn't get anywhere with customer service, so then he goes and emails them. Seems reasonable, right? So they initially told him, well, we'll send over your luggage, but we're not going to cover the fees for it. So their Waymo drove off with his bags, but they're not going to pay for it. Okay, and it's not like he didn't try to get his bags out and just forgot about them, having a little culpability. No, the damn Waymo wouldn't give him his bags. So then next thing that happened was, well, he decided that wasn't good enough. So then he continued to negotiate with them, which I'm not sure why he had to. But then they finally said, well, we'll give you two free rides to go to the depot to pick up your luggage. Well, dude's in another state, maybe even another country by this time. What is giving him 2 free rides to go pick up his luggage going to do to help remedy the situation? So, and he felt that way too. So eventually he continued to escalate this, and they offered to ship his luggage to him. So poor Mr. Jen finally may have his luggage, who knows? Because if they send it in another Waymo, Lord knows what happens to it. And we hope they didn't send it on a Uber van, because that could have caught fire. Who the hell knows? So anyway, Mr. Jen, I hope you got your luggage back safely, and your notes and your meetings and everything went okay, despite Waymo's efforts to try and screw everything up for you. And maybe it was simply because when Mr. Jen was communicating we know they're using safety drivers from the Philippines, and I think I figured out exactly why they're using safety drivers. Maybe their customer support people are based out of the Philippines too. And here's the answer why.
How do you find a virtual assistant? You can hire these people in the Philippines for $5 an hour.
The people in the Philippines are too good. They're gold. That's why I was able to succeed. I'm paying them 20% of what a US person would get paid. And they're way better than that US person. And if you pay them a little more than market, they'll just be loyal to you.
They'll be loyal to you if you just pay them a little bit above market. So you pay them $5.25 an hour. Is that what that is? So, now, what does that say for international labor practices? I mean, we know they do that with call centers and everything else, but when is enough going to be enough to, number one, take advantage of these people? Yes, I know it costs a lot less to live in the Philippines than it does in the U.S., but realistically, why are we even taking these jobs out of the U.S.? Oh, yeah, this is why. Because it's...
How do you find a virtual assistant? You can hire these people in the Philippines for $5 an hour.
The people in the Philippines are too good. They're gold. That's why I was able to succeed. I'm paying them 20% of what a US person would get paid. And they're way better than that US person. And if you pay them a little more than market, they'll just be loyal to you.
That's it. So, I certainly understand the economics from a business standpoint, but at one point do we have some ethical issues too with those kind of business practices? And I'm not sure. This is obviously not related to anything with rideshare, but that gives you an idea of why they're using people from the Philippines to fill these jobs. And that was for an advertisement that I found on YouTube. I don't remember the name of the company, don't care, but it just really illustrates the issue and what we've got going on with that. And so there we go. That's what we got going on with Waymo, boys and girls. Let's check in with the chat here again real quick before we move on to the new world of robo-taxis and everything else going on in California. Looks like we had Toyo joined us. How you doing, Toyo? We got Traveler. What's up, brother? How you doing, my man? And still got Bubba Sue and Awesome Amy in here. And looks like Twin Pines Studio. So anyway, thank you all. I appreciate you coming in. Hopefully you can hang out, have some fun in the chat, and don't distract me. No, I don't care. Whatever you guys talk about, whatever you want. But hopefully we have some questions come out of this. So here's the newest thing. We've added Tesla to the list because, with their robo-taxis that they're coming in. So we're going to keep up with the technology, what's going on with that. And in today's little thing with Tesla and the robo-taxis, so they have different versions of hardware. And what they refer to as that runs the FSD mode, they refer to one of the versions as H3, hardware 3. Well, apparently, I'm jumping ahead here on my segments, but that's okay. We'll cover this one. Then we're going to go back to Waymo again real quick. Sorry about that, guys. I got can't nothing go perfect even when I'm well prepared. But anyway, so the H3, which affects about 4 million Teslas that have been sold, isn't going to be able to work in the full self-driving, in the unsupervised full self-driving mode. So basically, somebody's always going to have their eyes up there, and the FSD gets really weird, and the more that they get further into it, a lot of the restrictions people are complaining because if they just barely take their eyes off the road, or if they have a sleepy eye, or or that they have problems even with getting these alerts, because after so many alerts on FSD, then you get suspended and it doesn't let you use it. So anyway, there's all kinds of weird caveats to it, but 4 million people who have the older ones are now never going to be able to go into unsupervised driving. So much for any of you that bought some of these hoping to use them as a robotaxi at some point. That's not going to happen for y'all. And they're looking Europe. They're already talking about class action lawsuits because a lot of people bought these cars because that was exactly what they were sold, and they paid for the unsupervised full self-driving, knowing that immediately it wasn't going to be available, but it was going to come down the road. So all this stuff just keeps building and building and building, and nothing's going to happen with at least your hardware 3 on there. And Musk said so too, and the stock ended up taking a short 3% dip just over that with their earnings announcement. That was one of the big reasons with it, because now they're in fear that they're faced with other lawsuits. So speaking of lawsuits and rule changes and all kinds of stuff like that, let's go back to where we originally were with Waymo. And this is more not just with Waymo, but this is in regard to pretty much any of the robotaxi stuff. But yes, we have a Waymo here, and that is an AI picture for anybody who wants to say something about it. But it's an actual picture of a Waymo, but added the cop car to it. But now they can give citations to to robotaxis as part of the. They have a whole new set of rules. They're covering 106 pages in these two new rule books, and they recover the requirements for testing and the deployment of the autonomous vehicles. And so the thing with the citations about being able to give the Waymos tickets, well, the stupid thing is, well, there's not a monetary fine behind it. So they're more just, these violations are basically data collection for, for the California DMV, and this is statewide, to be able to track problems and then, I guess, take action if they need to later on, like Austin's threatened to do with Waymo down there. So these, getting a ticket is kind of a ridiculous thing. So after the robotaxi gets a ticket, then the company has 72 hours to self-report, as I'll call it, the violations to the DMV. I guess they have to turn themselves in. I don't know. It was a little loosey-goosey, and I've been reading enough on a lot of this legislation that's going on. I wasn't inclined to dig through 106 pages of rules and regulations, but there were a few interesting points that came out of it. Besides no monetary, so there's nothing punitive to them other than just going, bad robotaxi, don't do that again. Don't run over that child, robotaxi. We don't like that. Don't run over the bodega cats. That will cause a public outcry. But so besides this data collection, they put in there already the room for the self-driving semis. Now, that's really important at this point, at this stage, because it'll be interesting to see how the labor unions in California handle this, particularly the trucking. But they're kind of getting ahead of this, or other than in Texas and Arizona, because what happened recently in Texas and Arizona was we had the first true driverless truck video. We've seen other things, and they were all a lot of simulation stuff, but this one truly did happen. We're going to go through this video, let this video run right now, and let you all see it in case you haven't seen what was going on with it, and hear a little bit more about it.
This morning, we've all heard about autonomous cars, but now there are autonomous trucks. Engage success. For the first time, a driverless commercial truck delivered freight, completing a 230-mile route from Houston to Dallas on time. This is time-lapse video of that drive with no one in the cab. The company, Bot Auto, argues autonomous trucks are the future. Since there are no drivers, they don't face fatigue or need brakes, reducing overall costs.
We go where sometimes humans do not want to go. I-45 is very challenging. There's a lot of traffic.
Driverless trucks are only legal in some states. California is not one of them yet, but the DMV just gave the green light to test heavy-duty autonomous vehicles, including semi-trucks on California roads. This small trucking company owner supports the technology.
If you ask any truck company what their biggest problem is, it's usually the drivers, keeping them safe and keeping them out of accidents. With automated trucks, those things are easier to deal with.
The California Teamsters Union is against the move. They plan to continue pushing for good jobs and road safety, saying the DMV's decision to rush forward with driverless heavy-duty trucks is reckless.
Clearly, though, there's drawbacks. It definitely has the potential to improve goods movement, to lower costs of moving freight, but it's going to change our workforce.
Experts say these advancements mean driverless trucks could drive 24/7. Truck company Aurora, based.
All right, well, there you go. That's where things are heading, folks. And yeah, Awesome Amy says, hell to the no, the cars are bad enough. I agree. Now, we're adding thousands of pounds, not only with cargo. When is the risk going to not be acceptable? And the funny thing is that China says no more robotaxis. So what was it, about 3 weeks ago, maybe even a month ago at this point, they had those 100, they had a glitch, we'll just call it for lack of a better term. Everybody likes to use that buzzword right now, and I don't know why I use it because I hate that word. But anyway, there were Apollo Go robotaxis in China, in Beijing, and 100 of them just stopped in the middle of the damn streets. And it caused all kinds of problems. So the Chinese authorities said, no, right now, no more licenses to self-driving companies, and you may not add any more robotaxis right now to the existing fleets. So they're gonna continue on with testing with it, but Beijing got smart and said, let's stop and do it. But apparently here in the U.S., we're slow learners. We don't learn from our mistakes or mistakes of other places, and we just keep going, running into walls, running into people, running into everything. And Awesome Amy says her son drives OTR, and driverless trucks would be a death wish waiting to happen. You need a skilled driver. Saving a few dollars isn't worth it. Yeah, I want to see one of these, robo trucks bumping docks and and navigating around some of the stuff. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they're probably no worse than a Swift driver. All right, sorry to any of you Swift drivers out there, but you all know who and what I'm talking about. But yeah, there's a whole lot of complications and problems with that, and again, that's where a good truck driver has to make so many decisions that doesn't get programmed into these vehicles. And that's why we see so many problems with the autonomous. There's too many freaking variables for all of that to end up doing anything. And then the other thing, who's gonna when the batteries need to be, or the fuel needs to be refilled on these trucks, who in the hell's going to do that? I guess they're going to be bringing back full service fuel stations. But who's going to sit out there? I mean, you're going to go to a Buc-ee's with 100 gas pumps, and then it's going to pull up to the wrong gas pump, and some person's going to go put the wrong fuel in it over at the Quick Trip, and then next thing you know, you got all kinds of problems. There's just too many variables and too many chances for problems with it. And I don't know. I can't wait for eVTOL, but this kind of stuff, it can fly above me, and hopefully, I don't get hit by anything. But this stuff with all the robo-taxis, now the robo-semis, it's too much, guys. You got to slow it down. Pump the brakes. Nobody knows what the hell that means. Well, maybe a lot of people in this crowd knows what that means, but everybody has analog brakes now, so don't know what the hell pumping the brakes is. Anyway, not even allowed to fuel up your big rigs at Buc-ee's. Oh, is every Buc-ee's like that with the big trucks? I don't know. Well, which is fine because it creates employment. And some states have that. New Jersey, I think, used to. I don't know if they still do, but they used to have a law where you couldn't fuel your own vehicle. Oregon was real bad about it. I remember one time when I went to Oregon, I didn't know that the law existed, and I got yelled at and almost got into a fist fight with somebody because they were insisting on fueling up my car, and I didn't know what the hell they were doing. And anyway, that was kind of an interesting experience. Bubba Sue, are you still in here? Does New Jersey still have that where you got to, my volume's low? What's up, Doug? How come you're the only one that says my volume's low? Welcome in, brother. Anyway, so that's kind of what's going on with all the Robotaxi world, literally around the world at this point. Now we'll see what happens in other countries as that's going on, and we'll continue to expand the conversation. So, what is up, Torp? Got a couple more people that have come in. Welcome in, guys. I appreciate y'all. All right, so now we're back to the segment. The next segment that I want to talk about, and this one I'm going to get into it in a lot of detail, just in the event that it goes the direction that it's heading. Maybe there'll be some opportunity to get this circumvented, but I don't think it's going to. But anyway, we're going to talk about one more time, and this is probably going to end up being the last time, though. I don't know, unless it doesn't pass. But the Colorado Rideshare Safety Bill, the new version of it, HB 261424, it was scheduled today to go back to the whole House for the second, I believe it's second reading of it. And they made a lot of changes. They didn't make a lot of changes. I'm sorry. I'm going to say there's only a few material things. The other stuff is pretty much as we briefly talked about, but I want to deep dive into this just one time. And everything else will be small commentary from here if it continues to go on, and I do believe it is going to continue on. But anyway, this bill has 29 House sponsors on it, and then 11 Senator sponsors. So just based on the way that everything's stacked, and they're all Democrats sponsors, and all the voting you've seen going on this, and even the old one went back and forth, and it was very partisan. Okay, so when I say Democrat or Republican, I'm not being supportive of either one. I'm just reporting exactly what the facts of this are. So with 45 of the 65 House seats being Democrat, it's going to pass the House, and then 35 state senators with 23 to 12 Democratic control. This bill is going to pass this time, guys. It's moving through pretty quickly. The only thing that could potentially stop it is running out of time, because they've got until the regular session the second session is through the 13th. Today it was supposed to be heard, but it did get postponed. And the last I looked, right before they did not. They said they went into recess, and it was about 2:00. If I remember, I was sitting there listening to it while I was getting ready. They went into recess, but then go back onto the website, and it does show that they adjourned for the day. So I guess everything from there is going to be pushed off until tomorrow. But I didn't see anything on the calendar for tomorrow, so we'll have to see what happens with that. But the bottom line is, they did a press release from April 30th on this, and they're bragging about the bill and how it's going to make everything wonderful. And there was a few changes, but it did get passed through the House Business Affairs and Labor Committee, and it was party line votes, yay and nay, right down right down the line there. Nobody cross party lines on this one direction or another. So they had a small victory, so they put out a press release, and here's some of the comments that were made on it, and I'm going to make my comments about some of this stuff. So Representative Jenny Wilford, Democrat in North Glen, and she says, we need the Colorado Rideshare Safety Accountability Act to establish new policies to keep our riders and drivers safe. Yeah, policies and laws always keep people safe. I'm really, really, really glad that you're looking out for my best interest, because any policy or any procedure is going to be so much better than anything I can actually do. Okay, yeah, I'm going to be a little sarcastic at times here. Actually, a lot of sarcastic, probably. Okay, so it says our bill cracks down. Listen to this one and remember when we get to this point here in a little bit. It says our bill cracks down on imposter or shared accounts and requires driver background checks every 6 months, which is stupid. I'll get to that in a second. Okay, so the second major sponsor, Meg Froelich, she's a Democrat out of Inglewood. That's Inglewood with an E for you Californians, not an I. And she says, when a rider requests a ride share, they shouldn't have to worry if they'll get to their destination safely. What about the drivers? Come on, Meg, don't you give a crap about... No, of course you don't. Never mind. Our important bill works to address some of the persistent safety concerns with ride shares, including stronger driver vetting. Okay, that would imply on the onboarding process. How is that going to be stronger? But clear disqualifications and more transparency about the crimes that happen in Colorado ride shares. So they're gonna fix all this with just some ink and a new law. That's right, Torp. Me never sarcastic. All right. So what about driver safety? Like I said a minute ago, how about you start with and throw into this bill before it's too freaking late a real ID verification for riders? That could remedy a whole lot of problems. And I don't care if somebody does a guest ride, the guest has to take a photo and upload their real ID if they're going to be a guest ride on it. And we'll talk about guest rides and something really freaking stupid with this. This is anyway. Before I'm going to just stay on track here, stay focused, because I got a whole lot to go through on this and a whole lot of comments with it. So again, more frequent background checks. They want drivers every 6 months, and after the initial record check. Why don't they just do continual ongoing checks? Because that's really what's going on at this point. If you're gonna, if you're gonna be overburdensome, then be overburdensome that way. Just make it so they can use automated systems to just do a continual check, and anybody within a database, something happens, ping, and then then slow down rideshare companies and make sure that those records are accurate before you go deactivate a driver. So, all right, Rideshare Rodeo Steve, welcome in. Be safe out there, man. I know you're out there driving in that mess. And then they say, this is all in this little press release that they did, said they're going to crack down on imposter, shared, and rented accounts. Going to crack down. How are you going to crack down? To help prevent multiple drivers from operating under one account, this bill will require TNCs to develop and enforce a company policy. Oh, there they are. They're going with that policy thing again. That's surely going to stop any borrowed accounts, any stolen accounts, any rented accounts, which, by the way, Willard was a victim of somebody who was using a rented account. Okay, a policy isn't going to fix, and policy isn't going to stop the vicious behaviors from people like that. A determined person is going to do whatever they need to do by any means possible to either destroy a person if that's their agenda, or to do whatever is on their agenda. Determination is going to supersede any freaking policy that's put in place. These are not real actionable items that are going to fix anything. They're just freaking words on a piece of paper signed by a bunch of people, and wasting legislative money sitting there debating and talking about these ridiculous things, and not really making any true progress. This is fluff. This isn't making it safer for riders or for drivers. So your imposter accounts are going to continue until you actually start doing things that are punitive to these companies and making it painful for them. You can put all the policies in the world, but frankly, they need, whether it's DoorDash for gig work or if it's Uber and Lyft, they need the people that are taking those 40-cent a mile, $2 orders. That's the bottom line. I am perfectly convinced, and prove me wrong, DoorDash, prove me wrong, Uber, prove me wrong, Lyft, prove me wrong, that you don't want a certain number of these on your platforms. Just prove me wrong. That's all I'm saying. All right, so stronger driver vetting and clear disqualifications. Ooh, more strong language, guys. What are we going to get here? Drivers with a history of convictions for assault, harassment, kidnapping, menacing, stalking, or domestic violence who had previously been caught account sharing would be banned from driving with a rideshare company. They already have these freaking policies, so you're not changing anything with that either. So, okay, we still got more fluff. I'm still waiting for some of substance that's going to make either drivers or passengers safer. But right now, we're striking out, y'all. All right. If a driver is barred from one rideshare company for serious safety concerns, they'd be barred from driving for all TNCs operating in Colorado. Now, that's something that material did get changed a little bit whenever it went to the House Appropriations Committee. That there's a provision now in here that changed that the commission shall create a process by rule for sharing information, both punitive and exonerative. Should be exculpatory, but I think exonerative is a little too strongly worded. Exonerative means that, beyond any doubt. Exculpatory would mean, from a legal standpoint, that it leans towards their not being guilty. So I think that you need to include exculpatory information, because if somebody's, and both punitive, I'm not sure. I guess they're trying to imply punitive meaning that they got permanently deactivated. Again, I just hate this really weird language that sometimes can be misinterpreted with a lot of these things. And then they're leaving the commission up to, they're like, well, we really don't know how to handle that, so we're just going to let the commission decide what's going to be done with it, how it's going to be done. So moving on. So that potentially is a positive change for this. I don't the whole sharing thing, I'm conflicted with, just because I used to work in an industry where we did share information off the record about employees with our industry peers whenever we were investigating someone. And, I know how easily someone could use that for the wrong reasons. So that's where it concerns me, is just particularly when they're using AI and this and that, because we had a whole lot of checks and balances, and we were real cautious about the dissemination of that information, and not, I don't know. It's just, hold on a second here. I saw something about our little friend. Okay, so make sure we didn't have friends. If we get unfriendly friends in here, just get rid of them. I don't care. Y'all use your discretion, but don't get rid of Doug. He's my mullet rideshare man. He can complain about the volume. Turn your hearing aids up, Doug. Anyway, all right. So this one, now we're moving on to the audio recording and video recording. This has gone back and forth. In the original bill last year, they were going to have, an independent dash cam was the implication. Now they've moved it over and said riders and drivers. This is the interesting thing. So riders and drivers may, I'll even go read the exact language in the bill, because this is actually kind of, this is important. And I'm really surprised it stayed in here like this. So I do want to read the changes that I don't care about there's some new language about, by the way, I think I saw Ben stopped in too. How you doing, brother? I am missing it. So whether to just sit here and watch you guys look at me read through papers trying to find that. But they're saying they may opt in, the riders and passengers. They're not requiring an opt-in to the bill. And I've had some discussion with some other people, including Steve, and we're going to save that portion for Thursday. But the bill states that they may opt in to video and audio recording. So they would have both. And they're going to be on the device of both the driver and the passenger. Now, I got huge problems with that because it's my device. I own that. And if I'm a contractor, what gives you a right to control and direct my property? You don't tell me where I fuel up. You don't tell me where I get my oil changed. You don't tell me where I get my brakes done. So now all of a sudden you have control of my cellular device or my tablet, depending on, which is still cellular device, I guess, for you using a tablet, either my cell phone or my tablet, depending on what kind of device I'm using. I don't think I think that's very overreaching by putting that crap on there. Plus you're taking up data room and data. You're taking up data and storage that I have to pay for. So where's my reimbursement for that? Are you going to pay me for storing data on my device? Didn't think about that, did you, Jennifer, Meg, and all you other million of people who decide you want to sponsor this bill? It's not a good idea. And then we can get into the whole evidentiary standpoint, so how's that chain of custody going to work? If I'm suspected of something and you're just going to now go issue a warrant for my device, or are you going to just get a warrant and then seize just the data off of that device? But then you don't really have you're not having a clean copy of that from an evidentiary standpoint if you're pulling the data back, unless you're going to use forensic tools. So now you're going to plant a rootkit into my phone and start pulling data away from me. And I know I'm getting way off in the weeds in this, but there's a whole lot of considerations that need to be made that I just don't want them doing that. So I guess I'll have to, if I continue to do this, which I will, I'll have to get a separate device just for freaking rideshare. And then I guess I'll go to the state and tell them they can pay for my extra device. There is a provision in there interestingly enough, about reimbursing drivers. I think it was just drivers mentioned with it for anything. So I think I have grounds if they decide to pass this to seek reimbursement per this new Colorado law that's going to happen. So let's see what's going on in the chat here real quick. Just take a little bit of a breather on what's going on here with this one. Let's see here. Everybody's having a volume discussion here. And volume is fine, volume fine. Good is not great. Oh my gosh. Turn your device up some, Doug says. Awesome, Amy. All right, Torp, if I imagine comment in the last video, give me a link, but yes. All right, appreciate you, Torp. Oh no, you're fine, Toyo. Like I said before, when Torp came in, man, y'all can talk about whatever you want, but yeah, engage him with what I got to say a little bit too, to keep me awake, and at least keep me a little distracted from myself, because I like talk so much. I think other people like to hear me talk. So let's see here. Bubba Sue says, didn't think about the phone data. Yep. All that being secured by AI is very disturbing, says Torp. Yep. It's also going to slow down our phones. Absolutely, because you're going to be putting all that extra freaking storage. And we all know we don't have enough storage on our damn phones to begin with. And now they want to clog it up with more crap, because video and audio, particularly video, are not kind to the phones. I mean, I don't know anybody that doesn't have to go through and delete a bunch of crap off their phone every once in a while. And that's just from casual, picture taking, unless you do social media crap like a handful of us in here do. And then your phone's always full because you're making videos or doing something like that, or taking screenshots for your next video or live or whatever. So anyway, that's what we got on that piece of it. All right. So the TNCs must provide annual reports to the PUC, the Attorney General's office, and every member of the General Assembly. Okay. These reports must include the number of homicides. Don't kill anybody. You'll end up on a report, people. So, yep, that's about 40 minutes into it. Found something interesting that OBS or something likes to freeze right about at 40 minutes. So sorry about that, guys. We're back to our regular scheduled program. But anyway, they got to turn in and report. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't have a problem with this one. I know you guys are like, wow, you finally don't have a problem with something. I'm not going to say it's stupid. But what are they going to do with the data other than just collect more freaking data? Are you going to do anything to reduce the number of assaults and so on and so forth based on the data? What's your plan of what to do with this other than collect data? Anyway, YouTube is not responding. Hopefully I'm still going here. It looks like it on my phone still, so we're going to keep rocking and rolling. All right. It's also going to slow down our phones. Crappy software. It's a thing for real. So, Torp, the 40-minute lag, is that a YouTube thing? That's what I've been trying to figure out. It sounds like you're saying that's a YouTube thing. Interesting. I'm just a new guy. I'm only 14 episodes in, so I'm still figuring this out. But I appreciate that info and heads up, Torp. Okay, so besides that, the TNCs need to establish and enforce certain policies that prevent, not mitigate, not reduce, not attempt to prevent or attempt to mitigate or attempt to reduce, but must prevent sex assault, physical assault, homicide. Again, don't kill anybody. You'll end up on a list, people. And policy that prohibits the transportation of unaccompanied minors. at the age of 15 unless they're part of an authorized family account. How the hell is that keeping our kids safe? By sitting there, you can shove someone younger than 15, up to 15, apparently it doesn't even, once you're 15, it doesn't freaking matter, or 16. But either way, so they can just go, if they're on an authorized family account, you can just shove them in a freaking, Uber or a Lyft. And all of a sudden, I'm a freaking babysitter now? No. This is bullshit. This is not protecting our children. This is supposed to make people safer. How is now saying, well, if they're on an authorized family account, it's okay. Little Johnny can go ride in a stranger's car, and then little Johnny gets scared and runs out in frickin' traffic because he doesn't know what the hell's going on. And what's the untrained driver supposed to do about that? And they say, "Come back, Johnny, come back." Oh, this is bullshit. And I'm just calling it straight out what it is. That is completely irresponsible of you, Wilford, you, Megan, all the rest of you that had your hands on this damn bill. And I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, or non-binary dinosaur. You're freaking culpable for the first time something happens because of your negligence. You should be protecting our kids, not making these standards looser. And that's exactly what you're doing, is making the standard, you're lowering the threshold. This is not a safety bill. This is a lowering the threshold bill for minors. And that is complete crap. Get it together. God, that would piss me off. That was one I've been just, wow. I just, look, y'all know my opinion about unaccompanied minors in these, any of these, Uber, Lyft, hell, a regular bus, all of that. No. Where's your big human that should be going with you and guiding you through life or this ride or whatever? This is not a substitute for parenting. Well, apparently it is now, according to the state of Colorado, if this bill passes. So whatever. I'm still not going to take them. I don't give a damn. And that's not it's not a discriminatory thing. That is just too much risk. So, all right. And we, now that they first said you can't, give or sell your passengers food and beverages, now they have to be factory sealed, whatever that, I don't care one way or another over that. They have to educate drivers on new passing. They need to establish and enforce certain policies that prevent crimes against drivers by riders. Again, those policies are going to prevent all the crimes in the world. What the hell? If we're able to stop all the crimes in the world with policies and laws, then why do we still have crime? Oh, yeah, because I had that whole a determined person rant a little while ago. Not doing it again. All right. And this is still in their little press release. So I'm probably not even going to get through this whole, I'm going to skim over the whole thing with actually going through the bill itself. Because this is all just their press release from April 30th. All these little comments about what they have. Now, most of it mirrors the substance of what's actually in the bill. But some of these over-exaggerated statements just drive me freaking crazy. So, Amy says, I'll definitely have to invest in a new phone now. It's never okay for teens. Oh, hell, this doesn't even put an age on it, Bubba Sue. If you could, I guess you have to put little Susie or little Johnny in their car seat now, because if they're on an authorized family account. I just hope Uber and Lyft don't frickin' follow suit to that. But, whatever they can do to generate revenue, they don't care about the rest of us. Hands-off parenting is not okay. Absolutely, Bubba Sue. Never want to do rideshare due to a lot of things, but having children in my car, Hell no, says Torp. Yeah, honestly, some of the younger adults are probably a lot more mature than some of the adults, though. Then they're all right. So technology is raising kids today, yeah, and they want the Uber and Lyft drivers to do the remainder of it, and then then they'll want Waymos. We already know they want Waymos doing it, and the Waymo moms already are up to that stuff. And Toyo says, I did rideshare for a little bit. It's definitely different. You never know who you're picking up, and sometimes the person doesn't match, like the boyfriend buying a ride for the girlfriend. Hell, Toyo, usually I find it's the girlfriend buying the ride for the boyfriend. And I just think I'd be embarrassed as a dude that, and that's like, to me, that's the most awkward piece of it. That, anyway, Bubba Sue says she's glad she quit rideshare. I still like it better than delivering pizzas and McDonald's, and my car smelling like French fries. And I had some pretty cool conversations with a whole lot of people. So yeah, there's risk in everything you do, but come on, guys. I mean, hell, more people are getting stabbed and shot and in all the DoorDash stuff. So anyway, this is just, I'm going to run out of steam on this because there's so much stuff. I'll save some stuff for Thursday for us to talk about if this whole thing's still in play come Thursday. So we talked about the background checks, creating the process. I know you guys got to be running out of steam listening to me rant about this, because I'm running out of steam listening to me rant about this. And but again, gathering these statistics doesn't make things safer. Where does this bill truly prevent, not put little soft, fluffy words into the imposter accounts? There's nothing in here of substance that's going to stop me from renting my account, other than I want my money, especially if I'm going to pay taxes on it. Account sharing, account renting. Where is there anything of substance with this? How is that making things safer? So, Jay Wilford, the incident that happened to you, how is this going to be safer? Because all this stuff we talked about, they're already in place. Uber and Lyft, the audio and video recording, it's already in place. Now, Drivers Co-op Colorado, they don't have it, and they're not going to be able to do it. Also, in one of the releases, the bill explicitly states it doesn't cover hop, skip, drive. Now, for those of you who don't know what hop, skip, drive is, that's the service where they take kids to school, and they're exempt from this because they don't have 1,500 drivers in Colorado registered. So they specifically stated this does not affect, not in the bill itself, but in one of the releases, that it doesn't affect hop, skip, drive. But we're trying to make things safer. But we don't give a damn about the kids, because they're not, they can't vote. They can't send me a check to fill my, my lobbying coffers. So anyway, let me just skim through this, see if there's something else something of substance. So TNC that violates the bill may be assessed a penalty of no more than $1,500 per violation. So this thing got really, to summarize this thing got really, really stripped down. We'll see what the, Colorado Whole House Committee says about this once it goes into it. It was supposed to get heard today. They ran out of time, so I assume they're going to have a session tomorrow with the whole House Committee, which means the House and the Senate come together, and then they debate it, parliamentary procedure, blah blah blah, and then they'll make the amendments, and then if there's any amendments recommended, then they'll vote on the bill during the second reading. So this may be done for by tomorrow. I was wondering if today I did all this research for nothing and said, well, the bill's over and here's what we got to look forward to. I could have punted and just done all that. So Expedite. Yeah, Torp, when are you signing up for Expedite? So as a side note here. All right. I've had enough of that. What do you guys think? We done with this, but Virginia already passed one, and it's going to come to a state near you guys. So take the lessons learned from this, and when it comes to your state, lobby like hell to keep the stupidity out of it. I mean, we've wasted so much time. Can you imagine how much time our legislators and how much of our taxpayer money has gone to all of this? It's just ridiculous. So, all right. While we're talking about bad things and bad people, how about a bad dasher? Did you guys hear about the gal that was doing the DoorDash delivery order? And she apparently got an order, and she says, well, my customer requested the order be left at their front door, and then when I arrived at their house, their front door was wide open, and they were within eyesight of the front door, laying on the couch, quote, indecently exposed to me. Now, what happened according to the video and the investigators was that the dude was passed out on the couch without his pants on. That sounds like he probably still had underwear on. I didn't see the video, don't want to see the video. We'll let the grand jury, they saw the video and saw there was enough to indict her. She was arrested and charged with she was originally arrested and charged with one count of unlawful surveillance in the second degree, which is a felony. This is in New York. And one count of dissemination of an unlawful surveillance image in the first degree. So she got indicted by a grand jury, and she gets to go have her day in court. But yeah, he was asleep, passed out, whatever you want to call it, on his couch. And she decided that she was going to take a video, and she was so traumatized because she said, well, he assaulted her. She chose to take this video and post it on TikTok and got 30 million views before it was taken down, but she's a victim. I'm not sure about that one. And apparently the grand jury thought they weren't sure about it too, and that it needs to go to trial. So yeah, Amy, this is nuts. I'm telling you, and Bubba Sue says she needs to be behind bars. Right. They have got to get these people that are complicit in these types of things. They've got to get them incarcerated and get them off the damn streets. And, this is just ridiculous. I mean, how can you go take a video of somebody who was passed out drunk, and they're probably passing out, so they just cracked open the door, and the instructions were leave at the door, not knock on my door, not come if his junk was hanging out of his britches, not go take a video of it. It was leave it at the door, not leave it at the door and look inside. So I think she breached his privacy. He probably has a civil case against her, which is, I bet you, is going to come up next with something like this. It says leave it at the door. It doesn't say leave it at the door and leer inside. I don't know. Anyway, there's your bad dasher story of the day or the week or whatever. So don't say I don't talk about food delivery on here too, guys. I know I spend too much time probably with Uber and Lyft and Waymo and eVTOL. We'll talk about eVTOL, of course, tonight too. But I don't bore you all to death. I do want to try and throw in some more stuff. I'm trying to get better about it, putting in some delivery type things as well. And but while we're at it, yep, we're going back to Lyft. But let's look at the chat and see what's going on here. And Traveler says she will be. I assume that means, yeah, she'll be probably convicted and then probably sued by the guy. I assume that's what Traveler's talking about. Said she was looking for 10 seconds of fame and she gets jailed. Gets jail. Case closed and she gets what she deserves, says Toyo. Absolutely. These people are a cancer. Absolutely, Doug. I mean, they there's a lot of good, hardworking people from all walks of life that are doing this stuff, either full-time or part-time or whatever time. And they make the whole industry. And then, we get 26 billion pages of freaking useless legislation as a result of everybody gets punished for the acts of a few people instead of dealing with the few people. So great echoing point there, Doug. So last I heard, it'll probably be community service and fines. Yeah, I haven't looked to see if there was anything new on it. I mean, she'd be stupid to take this to trial. There's got to be a plea deal here pretty quickly on this thing. Also, maybe says maybe she liked what she's seen. Well, I mean, I don't know how long the video was, but what provoked her to take a video? Okay, forget that. What provoked her to post said video, other than, like Travis or Toyo said, looking for her 10 seconds of fame? Yep. Congratulations. You win a prize of stupidity. So, all right. So, moving over to Lyft here for a couple minutes. This is kind of interesting. So, we talked about the cap rate where Lyft is now saying, they're going to do 30%, up to 30% before fees and before all the external fees. Okay. So it used to be 30% after up to external fees. So now they've raised the threshold of how much they can take from you. And the interesting thing is, today I got this pop-up after a ride that I did. Said the Lyft fee's higher than usual, but we got you covered. When the month ends, if the total Lyft fee from all rides is more than 30% of a passenger payment, you'll get an earnings adjustment. Some rides have higher Lyft fees due to busy area pricing and other factors. So, why are you grooming me for whatever you're trying to do? Because the interesting thing on this ride, after this ride, decent amount for it, but I did look to see how much the after that pop-up, it got my curiosity, and I was like, how much did the customer pay for this? I usually, honestly, guys, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to that, because I've done it for so long. I pretty much got a pretty good idea. But this one, I thought, well, you know what? Based on the time today and this and that, I probably got pretty close to beating the house on this one. So I actually looked to see what the customer paid, and I made 74.68% of the ride on that one. So why would Lyft send me that pop-up? I think it must just be something automated. Again, they're just trying to groom people for that type of thing. And almost every week I get either you're in the top, you beat 80% of the people, or you're in the top 20% of earners on Lyft, and blah, blah, blah. So I usually ride in the top 20% every single week with Lyft. So you don't need to send me that junk. I already know how to cherry pick and make the money that I need to with Lyft. And if the money's not there, then I don't take the rides. So I don't know what that's all about, but I thought that was really interesting that they all of a sudden put this up there. Doug, I know you do some Lyft. Have you seen this message yet? I'd be kind of curious to see if anyone else that's in here has seen that. But I don't know. That's where we're at with this whole thing with Lyft. What do we got for Uber tonight? Do we want to talk about this thing with Uber? Do we want to kind of wrap up? Yeah, this one's kind of boring, but I'll just kind of summarize it real quick. But Uber and Hertz are now going to partner up. That Hertz has created a affiliate operating company, as they describe it, called Oro Mobility, that they want to provide an integrated fleet management solution across a range of mobility segments, strengthen their fleets, and blah blah blah. And they're basically saying that Hertz is amazing at fleet management, so they're perfectly suited to do this with Uber and their robotaxis that Uber wants to put out. Well, the interesting thing about this is that when I started doing rideshare down here in Colorado Springs and wanted to see if it was lucrative enough down in the Springs to do it, that I did rent a vehicle from Hertz. Now, this was through Lyft, but same company. It's still Hertz. And one of the big reasons I'm like, hell no, I am getting out of this is because their maintenance and their fleet management sucked. It was completely freaking awful. And anybody who's rented a car from Hertz lately versus what it used to do 10, 15 years ago, the company sucks anymore at fleet management. They used to be amazing. You'd get great cars, super clean, no damages on them, and now they're just turds on wheels. And so apparently Hertz convinced Uber that they can handle this. So my words to you, Uber, good luck with that one. So let's see. Doug says they're basically admitting saying without red flag. Okay, so Doug's commenting back on my Lyft situation. Basically, they're admitting without saying the red flag part out loud. The algorithms are not perfect. Hooking AI with the algorithm used dynamic pricing is basically ordering it to exploit. Yeah, that's pretty much the way they work. The AI will default to maximizing profits. Well, it'll maximize profits as long as it can. And right now, fuel prices are still high. Hopefully, everyone's seeing a little bit of relief in that. Bubba Sue said on my next ride, it will be 60%. No, actually, my next ride was pretty good. I'll shut the apps off and just go do something else. If they start treating me, like a peasant, that's what I do. And I'm not one of these guys. I'm not going to sit here. Here's how you earn more. That's not my style of what I want to talk about. I want to talk about things like like we've been talking about tonight, and you can listen to me rant about legislators that I don't like with the crap that they're writing. So runaway price gouging, absolutely. So anyway, that's what we got going on with Uber and Hertz. So apparently, any of you that do the Hertz rental program, you're with Uber. And they are also talking about another thing is that I'm not sure exactly how to interpret this one, but I'm going to read it word for word how they put it. Oro's also partnered with Uber to offer strategic fleet services on the Uber platform, utilizing a fleet of high-quality maintained vehicles, blah, 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 blah. The model better enables Uber, blah, blah, blah. And it says Oro is now active on the platform in LA and San Francisco, but it's also stating that they have drivers. The model better enables Uber to meet increasing rider demand using Oro employed drivers. So now they're going to have they're going to contract with somebody that's going to have their own employees driving Uber for them. I'm not sure what that one means. That one's really kind of weird. And like I was almost going to bypass it just because it doesn't make sense, because it almost sounds like they're just, again, trying to figure out how to replace drivers, the contract drivers, the traditional ones. Who knows what the relationship's going to be here with it. So that's it. eVTOL, I'm just going to highlight this one real quick. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail tonight and wrap it up. But one thing that people aren't considering with the whole eVTOL thing, and Steve, if you're able to listen right now, I know you're busy with that catering thing, but catch it later if not. But I'm actually going to say something that's not favorable about eVTOL. Is the thing people keep forgetting about is the insurance. We all know commercial insurance for rideshare is crazy expensive. We know insurance for our vehicles is crazy expensive. Now we got these flying little drone helicopter hybrid things that are going to be out there. And there are companies that are underwriting them. Some of the ones that are testing are already insured, but they're insured for testing. They're not insured for commercial flights. So the vision of trying to, make this everybody's mode of transportation is going to be a long way away. I've said and maintained for a long time this is going to be kind of a version of limo service. Even Uber says that to begin with, is they want to be the Uber Black, and I think that's probably being a little conservative. I think it's going to be a lot higher, particularly when you start looking at the insurance and the risk associated with it, because when you have something that goes bad with one of these things, it is going to be catastrophic. It's not going to be, it's going to be the equivalent of an airline crash, and then depending on where it crashed, because it isn't, it's just different airline. So it's going to be a lot more expensive once something happens. It's not, even if there's only 6 passengers. So there's some considerations that I don't think being brought to the public that needs that they're kind of hiding from both the investors, things like that they need to be a little more forthcoming on, because the air taxis, they're here. I know Bubba Sue, no George Jetson, and I say yes, George Jetson. Let's go, George Jetson. But once they get their insurance policies written, those $200 flights are going to probably be more along the lines of $300 or $400 initially, whenever they start getting things going, and depending on the track record they have, then if their safety records go well, then they can negotiate better rates. But that's one of the things that need to be considered with the whole eVTOL thing. There's going to be investors. They're going to dump the money into the commercial insurance, but it's not going to be something for everybody to use. Probably even it's probably going to be another 10 years before I go take my eVTOL up to Denver to go see Doug or Steve. But it's coming. It'll be there. But anyway, that's about all I got for tonight. I appreciate everybody that's tuned in. And for those of you listening to the podcast, you can catch me on all the socials at CO Ride Guy. That's CORIDEGUY. And for any of you that are watching the replay on this and you would rather listen to it mobile, you can catch me on the Rideshare Zone on all the podcast platforms. Guys, thank you. We've made it through 14 episodes. We'll see you for episode number 15. And before that, we'll see you 8 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, and with Steve. And then we've got a special guest for Thursday. I'm going to let Steve make that announcement, but there's going to be three of us chattering away. So make sure to tune into that one, guys, and we'll have it posted here. You can come in on my channel, or you can go over to Rideshare Rodeo and with Steve. So anyway, y'all have a wonderful evening. Be safe out there. Take care.